All right, let's talk about cardio. If you've ever felt totally confused by all the advice out there, you're definitely not alone. It feels like one day you hear one thing and the next day you hear the complete opposite. Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to bust the biggest cardio myths out there, and we're going to do it using some really cool real-world tests. Let's get into it. I mean, have you ever really thought about this stuff? Does sweating buckets actually mean you're burning more fat? Is 10,000 steps some magic number? And the big one for a lot of people, will hopping on the treadmill kill all your muscle gains? We're going to tackle all of these head on. We've got real people putting these myths to the test, and I think you'll find the results, well, they're pretty surprising. So let's kick things off with a big one, the effort myth. We're kind of taught to believe that if a workout isn't incredibly hard, if you're not completely gassed and soaked in sweat, then it didn't really count. But is that actually true? Is harder always better? Let's find out. Oh yeah, this is a classic. We see someone dripping with sweat at the gym and we automatically think, wow, that person is having an amazing workout. They must be burning a ton of fat. We've just come to assume that sweat is a perfect gauge for how hard we're working and how many calories we're torching. But what does the actual data say? Okay, now check this out because this is fascinating. Alicia did the exact same 10-minute bike ride 2 separate times. The first time she was in a nice, cool room. The second time she was in a hot room where she was sweating like crazy. Now you'd think the hot room workout would burn more calories, right? But nope, she actually burned 11 times fewer calories in the heat. So what in the world happened? Well, her heart rate was definitely higher in the hot room, but that extra effort wasn't going into pushing the pedals harder, it was going into just trying to cool her body down. Because the workout felt harder, her actual performance dipped a little bit, which is why she burned fewer calories. The key takeaway here is simple. Sweat is your body's air conditioner. It is not a fat loss meter. Sticking with this whole effort myth, what about how long you work out? Do you really need to carve out a whole hour? Well, that brings us to this really cool concept called exercise snacks. And no, these are not treats you eat after your workout. We're talking about super short, intense bursts of activity, like sprinting up a few flights of stairs for 30 seconds. But you do it a few times throughout your day. And this chart just shows how powerful they can be. A study took 2 groups and followed them for 6 weeks. Group 1 did 40 minutes of slow, steady cycling. The other group, they just did 3 30-second stair sprints spread out across their day. And the results are kind of shocking. The long cardio group saw basically no change in their fitness. But the exercise snack group, they improved their VO2 max, which is a huge marker of fitness, by a whopping 7%. All right, next up, let's dive into the calorie myth. This one is all about that tricky relationship between the calories we think we're burning and the food we eat. Can you really outrun your diet? Come on, we've all said this, right? Or at least thought it. Oh, I'll just have this piece of cake. I'll just run an extra 20 minutes tomorrow to burn it off. We think of our body as this simple calculator where we can just subtract calories with exercise. But our bodies are a little more complex than that. So, to put this to the test, Andy and Alicia were asked to grab a post-workout snack that they thought equaled the calories they just burned off. And yikes, just look at this. They both put over 500 calories of food on their plate. The thing is, we tend to overestimate how many calories we burn by like 2 to 3 times, and at the same time, we underestimate how much we eat. And here's the real kicker. Even if you were super precise and ate back the exact number of calories your fitness watch said you burned, you'd probably still not break even. And why is that? It's because our bodies compensate. After you do a hard workout, your body often slows down your non-exercise energy burn. We're talking about fidgeting, walking around, all that little stuff. It's called NEAT. So when you eat back those exercise calories, you can wipe out your deficit and then some. Okay, but what about being smarter about it? You've definitely heard of the fat burning zone, right? That magical zone 2 where you do low intensity cardio specifically to burn fat. Is that the secret hack? Well, this chart shows that, yeah, it's kind of true. During a low intensity walk, your body does use a much higher percentage of fat for fuel, in this case 75%. Compare that to a really hard run where only about 15% of the energy came from fat. So, case closed, right? Well, not so fast. And here is the absolute most important thing to get. Burning fat during your workout is not the same thing as losing body fat over time. Your body is incredibly smart. If you burn a lot of fat during your walk, it just compensates by burning more carbs the rest of the day and vice versa. When it comes to losing body fat, what really truly matters is the total number of calories you burn, period, not what kind of fuel you use to do it. All right, this leads us to our final big myth. And it's one that causes a lot of anxiety for people who lift weights. It's this idea that doing cardio is going to sabotage all your hard work in the gym and just melt away your muscle. Just look at this comparison. It could not be clearer. If you try to lose weight by only doing cardio, a huge chunk of the weight you lose, sometimes up to half of it, can be your hard-earned muscle. But when you combine that cardio with strength training, it's a game changer. You send a powerful signal to your body to hold on to that muscle, which means pretty much all the weight you lose is fat. And honestly, for most of us, cardio isn't the enemy of muscle. It's actually a powerful teammate. Dr. Mark Lewis, who works with elite athletes on the Houston Texans, says cardio can actually help you recover faster between your lifting sessions. So for the average person, there is absolutely no reason to be afraid that a little cardio is going to wreck your gains. So, after busting all of these myths, what's the big takeaway? What is the best kind of cardio to do? To figure that out, let's circle all the way back to Andy, who, remember, just walked for 30 minutes a day for 2 weeks. Now, on paper, his VO2 max score only went up a little bit. But you have to understand why this is actually a huge win. Our VO2 max typically declines by about 1% every single year after our mid-20s. So, in just 2 weeks of walking, Andy didn't just stop that decline, he actually reversed it. But the really impressive stuff was what was happening under the hood. At the exact same walking speed, his heart rate was now lower. It recovered more quickly after he stopped. His breathing was calmer, more efficient. His body was literally doing the same amount of work, but with way less stress. This is what getting fitter actually feels like day to day. And in the end, it really all comes down to this. Andy's simple quote just says it all. The numbers on a screen are one thing, but that feeling of just being healthier and more capable in your own body, that's the real prize. So if you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Stop searching for the single best or perfect cardio workout. The best exercise is whatever challenges you right where you're at. And, most importantly, it's the one you can actually stick with. Look, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to happen. It's not about being an elite athlete, it's just about being consistent, whether that's walking or dancing or sprinting up some stairs. So the final question I have for you is this. What movement will you choose to stick with today? Thanks for tuning in.